Straw Hut Media. We're better together with Ann and Heather.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Better Together with Ann and Heather. We're so delighted to be here today because it's been a moment, hasn't it? But we're in the moment. This is a very long in the moment.
In the moment.
I sang. I shouldn't do that.
You shall.
I did. We have been traveling. We've been apart. This is the first time I've seen you in like more than a week, which is rare for us.
And not good for me. Not good for me. I miss you a lot when you're gone.
Yes, I missed you too.
Well, so why don't you talk about, you were
where do you
just
want to begin?
with
We
Henry.
have so much stuff to discuss. Where do we want to
True.
begin?
It's true. I mean, I did just go through an incredible experience. It's always so fun to engage in a movie that you really care about. And I just finished a movie called Super Cell with Alec Baldwin and Skeet Ulrich. And I am thrilled to say that it just was more magical than I even thought. But the thing that I want to share with you about my moments, because when I travel, I'm allowed to experience different things. And as you know about me, or as anyone has heard me tell this before, I am not a person who understands pop culture. I've never engaged in the science of pop culture.
This is true, my friends.
And part of what, I mean, the whole reason for that is because I have been studying the science I consider is the science of love. And I've really wanted to not be a person who mimics others or who even fashions herself after other actors when I'm doing roles. So whether whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm now flipping that. And of course, because of Better Together, all I want to do is consume pop culture. I'm like, who is it? What is it? Who can we have on the show? Who do I want to learn from? It's so exciting to be a part of this because the conversation just opens and unfolds. You're like, oh my God, wait, do I actually have an opportunity to talk with Heather about and to someone who knows more than me?
Folks, she has a television in her room now, which is very rare. I'm not sure if she knows how to operate the device.
No, we do not
but
have
she has one in her room.
Have the appropriate, I was going to say botanicals, but that's
you don't have the appropriate connection or remote
controls or batteries.
There is a television in there.
There's a square thing that's black. Here's the thing. Going through airports has become one of my most fascinating things. And of course, we were all locked up for a little bit, but I'm a bit of a hermit myself. And so going into an airport is like a candy store for me. I'm like, yippee! Oh my gosh, the Inquirer, blah, blah, blah. Let's cut to, I happen to notice that Ellen,
I don't even know that they still make that paper, but anyway.
Or it's called Out. I don't think they make Out anymore either. Either way, I'm getting to the Ellen moment of my understanding in pop culture.
We're talking about Ellen?
Yes, apparently she has gone off to Africa to join her gorillas in a peaceful retreat. So now, here's the thing about that.
Well, you know her show is off. Do you know that much pop culture?
I did know, but what I'm feeling is that finally she's enough away that I'm starting to be able to breathe again.
Really?
It's like it's like fresh air a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that's another show. But I have to say, there is a moment that I feel like, well, you know what I feel like with Ellen in Africa? I feel like a little bit like a new man.
That is definitely a soundbite.
That's why I wrote it.
But okay, we're going to talk about this, I guess. So,
well, I mean, I don't know what else to talk about. The fact of the matter is, every single person wants to know what I'm thinking about Ellen in this time.
People are asking all the time, and we're always not saying anything. So we're going to say something. It looks like.
All right. Well, what are you going to say?
Well, I mean,
I'm glad she's in Africa.
I'm going to say that her show is off the air, and we're finding now people coming to us, and we're getting information about how she blocked you in ways that we had no idea.
Oh, please extrapolate.
Well, we have friends that are coming forward. What we're finding is that show was held over apparently your head as a tool that, you know, for going out. If you're on a show, if you're in a film, they got to go through the Ellen show to promote it. And guess what?
It's unpleasant.
Ellen blocked you from the show. And everybody knows that. So much so that friends of ours who have gone on the show have told us that they have been told specifically in the green room before they go on the show not to bring up your name.
Well, here's what's interesting, how powerful that my name will make a quake. Like our voices.
It can, actually.
But what's interesting to me about hearing that, and of course I want all the details. When I went on Rosie, I was promoting, I think, Donnie Brasco, and I went on the Rosie O'Donnell show, which is a talk show at that time. I knew that because I was on it. So I understand that she was a part of pop culture at a certain time. So I was met in the dressing room, which you get backstage at
Is the dressing room the green room? I'm just asking for the viewers and myself.
No, the dressing room is more private. The green room, you can have two or more.
That's where you wait. Okay.
Yes.
I've been in green rooms with you.
Okay. You have been.
And dressing rooms, actually.
We won't get too personal here. No. So when I was in my dressing room, you don't normally meet David Letterman backstage. That's not how it's done. You go through his producers and sculpt things, and as I had done with Rosie's producers. And I got a knock on the door, and Rosie comes in and sits herself down uncomfortably in front of me and basically states, let me cut to the point, if you bring up the fact that you and Ellen are a couple, I will not promote you. We will erase this episode. If you bring her up, if you bring up gay love, if you bring up love, if you bring up anything having to do with the movement that you feel that you're a part of, you will not have your film promoted. Now, that was a long time ago, and that was Rosie O'Donnell. And I remember Ellen's
For the youngins out there that might not know, Rosie O'Donnell is openly gay herself.
Openly gay now. She was not then.
Oh,
and I do have to say, no one at that time stood by Ellen's side. I'm proud to have been the person to do it because she certainly didn't have support. And for that, I feel compassion. So that horror of I didn't even understand how things were sculpted. I did not understand how things were manipulated. I was a youngin', yet I'm no longer a youngin'. So, the fact that Ellen, and I've heard multiple stories of this, has had the same conversation in person with those of guests who may be my friends I'll just equal it. I don't want to talk about emotion here when I talk about Ellen. I just want to talk about truth. If one was horrifying when Rosie tried to shut me up, why is yours not horrifying? And I think we want to ask why one would have such a domain after 20 years of trying to shut somebody up, so much so that her name could not be whispered.
I don't know that they wanted to shut you up. I think she wanted to shut you down and shut you out.
Very much she did. And by the way, she had a lot of people that went along with her.
Because this is what's happening now, is that people are coming forward that I'm speaking with and saying, well, our hands were tied with the Ellen show.
That means money.
And if you think about all the studios, the TV shows, the films that considered you and then thought, oh wait, there's that Ellen cockblock that we have to consider.
That's right.
Let's just hire Mira Sorvino.
That's right. That's right. You have her in your movie, you have her in your show, you ain't gonna get promo on mine.
And that's a thing.
And that is a thing. And that is
And we didn't realize that until the show was canceled, because then people were coming forward and telling, because they were afraid to.
Fear. Fear has a very big force. It's not as big as love's, obviously. But I do want to say, you teased about this before, but that I was the original canceled, and I am going to be the original uncanceled. I am uncanceled today. I am finished with that. This is what I say. Goodbye. Watch out. You're fucked.
So we have officially uncanceled Anne H.
I'm uncanceled, folks. Why don't you join us in our next 10 minutes coming back.
Now that we're talking about it,
I guess the truth's out now, bitch.
Okay. Well, what is the truth? Because let's go, I guess. Let's go.
Okay, ask me a question and I will answer. I've been waiting to tell my truth for 20 years.
Nobody knew it was going to be today, but it is.
Sometimes you
just feel it and you go with it, and the time is right.
Well,
and you sit on something for long enough that it's time to talk about it.
Yes, and the other dominator is with her people, apparently.
So I know from what I have read that Ellen has always said that she has no idea why you ended it with her. Can you answer that question once and for all? Okay.
I'm sorry. Do I have allergy?
Okay, fine. Let's let our viewers know.
Well,
Why?
First of all, I've written a book about some of the truths, and the second one will be coming out shortly. The fact of the matter is, if anybody chooses to look at the truth, the signs and the reasons of their arrival are apparent in every single thing. The problem is people went along with the point of view, unfortunately, that abided something that was a lie. We are responsible for seeking the truth. We are responsible for our own point of view. We aren't told often that ours matters enough to question ourselves enough. I just did a movie about this very thing, and it was one of my delightful pleasures in my life that I got to act this role. Because The Vanished was a movie that was two movies at the same time. And why I found that to be so significant in my artistry was to be able to show what it looks like to be told the same story, but because of point of view, we miss the truth and the facts. That's the story of my life. And I have been dealing with that and trying to understand that, comprehend that, which took my intelligence to come into why we would ever try to bury somebody who spoke about love. Why we do that, what love is, what it means, why we are interested in quieting a force that means more to us, that I call love. And it is the study and has been of my last 20 years because of how I was buried and not understanding why we want to do that. Why would we bury others? I think it's the beginning of a question that had not been asked to me and has not been asked until this moment. Timing is everything. And all I am here to do is embrace the fact that it's time to tell the truth.
So why did you break up with Ellen?
Well, I think you know the answer to that question. I think we could probably whittle it down to one thing. If we live in loving kindness, and that is my destination and my dream for us all, I would say that was not her goal.
But that was her banner, which she led with.
Listen, when you want to steal somebody else's language, the problem is you hit a wall, because the language is enough to drive you forth. Its purposing was enough to give her power. And the reality is, if you are not on a conscious conversation and communication with the universe and its truth, you hit a wall because you can only get furthered if your intelligence and your heart meet. And unfortunately, that she did not greet.
So basically what you're saying is you can only keep up the gig for so long.
I didn't know what, as I always call God, your grandpa, Kiki. I don't know Kiki's timing. But you face what you face in the mirror every single day. And unfortunately, it's just like I say in my first book, you don't get 2 cups of insanity in and get to take 1 cup out. You meet your maker.
Okay. Well, that was a riddle, I gotta say.
Well, God is a real. You're gonna have to start getting used to me now,
All
bitch. Watch out.
All right, slow your roll on that Coca-Cola. Cut that out because they'll think it's Coke. So never mind, it actually is Coca-Cola.
Oh, well, here's the proof. You know what? Every other person also like, oh my gosh, yes. The problem with disease and abuse is this. Once you catch the train of it, you have to go. So we always have a fork in the road. Once people call, and I've said this about Call Me Crazy, if I had known people would do whatever I said, I would have called my book Call Me Sane. And my next one will be, by the way, Call Me Sane. Because now you'll do what I say. Listen, the reality is we have gotten to a place where we are not looking at the truth and we are getting its consequences in our face. And what we're here to do is try to flip that on its head and say, let's look with grace at this opportunity to live this life. We've all come through a very difficult time. We've all been merged in the first time in our lives in an understanding that every single human being who has gone through it. And we are coming out the other side. We have an opportunity for freedom, or we have an opportunity to get back on the death wagon and start believing the lies that we've been crammed into each other's faces for years, ages, centuries, on eons. It's time to flip it and start having some fun. Don't you agree?
I do, but I want to clarify something here, because we always talk about...
Well, I have a few books.
We always talk about living in kindness, right? And so here we are telling your truth about Ellen, and we're not being...
we haven't even begun.
I know, but we're not being... Here's the thing. There's a difference between living in kindness and also standing up for yourself at a certain point. And I think that's where we are at right now with talking about this story.
Yes.
And people say, because I know you don't read your comments, but I'll read the comments and they're like, oh, there's Ann H. talking about Ellen again. Ann doesn't talk about Ellen. We've done a few TikToks that our social media team has suggested.
Listen, if we don't pay attention to what people want to listen to, we're stupid. I mean, give me a break. There's one question people want to know. What do I think about Ellen? And in fact, I haven't said that yet. I have not rambled on about her for one single moment. For 20 years, I have withheld my understanding. I have been canceled since the day I was born. I've been buried since the day I was born. Every single truth that I spoke, I was hit more, buried more, fucked more, or despised more, and then had calculated visions and circulations of systems that spun me up and out of the system that would in any way challenge the fact that she was not telling her own truth, but another's. Why do you think she tried to put me in an institution, folks? I called my mother. Guess what? 2 people who wanted more than anything to have my truth buried. It was not my timing. I did not and could not ask God for what that would be. All I could do was stay on my truth, do what I was doing, and study this thing called love that we tried to bury. And now I am up and out of the ground. And unfortunately, those 2 women could not shut me down.
Whew.
Want to start over?
No, but let's talk about for a minute, because look, there's so much to unpack here with the Ellen thing, and I think that since we've started it, we might as well finish it.
Good, because then I think it's enough talk about her. Let's get on to some fun stuff.
Yes, but I do want to talk about how, look, basically what we're saying here is that she basically pitched herself as the queen of kindness, and we're finding that perhaps was not the case. And you're saying that in your experience with her, that was not the case. And in fact, that was kind of your jam. So bitch kind of stole your look.
To say the least.
And
How
so,
does my hair look,
the
by the
irony
way?
of it is that you've always been saying the same thing. You are somebody who's
That's
always
one thing
been,
you can say about
been
me.
saying the same thing. And when you say something that is not quite organic to you or truthful, you're gonna get popped. And where I see her having done this and just plain proof, people can tell us all the things they want to tell us, but I saw it completely when she did the 20th anniversary of her coming out episode. And she sat with Oprah and they did an entire documentary on it. And your name was not mentioned once. You were cut out of the story. You were actually literally cut out of the picture. They showed when you and Ellen went on Oprah's show and they had a tight shot on Ellen and you were sitting right next to her and you were cut out of it. And you were cut out of that part of the story. And you were such a big part of that story because when you took her to that movie premiere and you were basically blackballed from that moment on, that's a part of the story. And she, with her big platform, just took you, not only did she take you out of the history of that, from what we're finding out, every opportunity she got to block you from working to support your family took that from you as well. And shame on the people who went along with it too, I gotta say. Like, it's a really yucky thing that's coming to light right now. And I will say,
wait. I love that you're laughing. You have to, because
I'm like, I will say what? I will say,
what?
Like, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Like, that's what I say in my son's baseball. We say, like, when you are like ready to rumble, and not that I'm ready to rumble. I don't want to rumble with Ellen or anybody.
I already did.
Well, fine. Okay. I'm ready for you to start getting the work that you deserve. And that's what I mean when I say, let's fucking go. Like, let's Anne H is uncanceled, motherfuckers.
Uncanceled, motherfuckers. Listen, this is one thing that I have to say about you saying yuck. It really is yuck. And I just have to bring up a fact. Oprah looked at me when I was on the show that I was obviously sliced away from 50-50. I say, you know what? That's the amount of knowledge we've been given. We've been given 50% of our language of love. We've been given 50% of our language of the intellect. We've been given 50% of the language of our bodies. And the fact of the matter is, the flip side needs to be understood. When I sat on that couch in such a divine entrance into standing up for what I believed, which was truth, motherfucker, my God, this woman is telling the truth. That's more interesting to me than any other thing I've been shown as love. I like that this person is standing up for what I believed was truth and the consequences. She suffered consequences because she did not believe that the truth would make her anything other than queen. Here's the deal. Unfortunately, life will greet you at a very unfortunate time, because when I was sitting next to you and Oprah looked at me and said, "What would you say, Anne, if people said to you, yuck?"
You weren't sitting next to me. You were sitting next to Ellen.
Ellen. Yes. Unless you've transformed.
She certainly wouldn't have said that to me.
Are you a shapeshifter? I am.
Well, you said sitting next to you.
Okay. I'm.
And she said basically she was insinuating I was that asking gay love was yuck.
Like, what? The thing you want to say is like, well, what would anybody say? Hi, I'm looking into the eyes of a woman who suffered greatly, very many things that I did, and I'm talking about Oprah, not you.
They did not replay that.
They didn't replay that little bit when I said I would say, "What? Excuse me?" And then she did a show on me the next day. Was it possible to be or have or love both genders? Was I so odd that I could love without gender? Is that even possible? As if I wasn't thrown in the inhuman category enough. Like, what are you talking about? Is it possible? Now we've come some way, and I know that the beginning of that conversation had something to do with me, and I feel very proud of that. Gender-free love is a given, by the way, and to say yuck to anybody, and I think we're starting to celebrate the other. The fact that there was such a conscious, deliberate erasing of what it was that I was talking about is what we have to look at. Not what was done wrong, but why we were not able to talk about it then. Why were we not able to talk about love? Has it taken us this long to be able to do it? So we're moving into a next step, hopefully. And hopefully I have some more intelligence, I know I do, around it because I've studied it to be able to communicate a little bit better about what happened 20 years ago and the fact that it's taken us 20 years to be able to be at a point where we can listen to the truth again.
And Ellen's fine. She can sit on her pile of money.
I hope you like your money, because that's why I broke up with you. Do you like sitting on your piles of cash? Because guess what? It gets you exactly where you are. And by the way, baby, and it's what you wanted then, and I hope you're liking it now. Cheers.
You broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Our forks are never going to meet. The further we stay on with this, the further we will be apart.
Okay. She didn't live in that loving kindness.
No, she didn't. But you and I don't talk about.
She wasn't a dick.
Revenge a lot,
No, we don't. There's one thing that I remember. There is one little nugget that I do have a sense of wanting a little bit of I guess the only word is revenge. I feel that you were so wronged. And now to know that you were continuing to be wronged, it fires me up a little bit. And especially, look, when you look at somebody like Ellen, who literally is sitting on a pile of $60 billion and then
could feed countries.
Right. And then
but you got a Porsche.
I mean, you're not hurting. You live beautifully.
Wait, that's really funny. I just noticed that. Sorry, I have to put a pin in it, but I realized that Ellen drove a Porsche.
I want a Porsche. Well, she's not going to give me a Porsche now.
Culture and then she married one. All she used to do was drive Porsches, and she collected them. I just thought it was so stupid because they were so loud you couldn't talk in them. So I thought it was so
I'm going to
funny.
drive a Porsche.
I know. Well, now I'm going to get us both one. But you're going to buy me one. I'm going to buy you one. And they're going to be red, white, and blue. And
no, they're not. I want mine
flag.
to be either white or black.
I mean,
or
okay,
baby
fine.
blue if it's vintage.
Baby blue would be good. Ooh, maybe we'll have matching ones. So, I mean, but the hilarious thing is that all she wanted was money, and then she ends up marrying a person named Portia, who, by the way,
that's funny. I wasn't getting the joke.
I took this long to get it. Portia even asked me about Ellen before, Portia came to my wedding because I was on Ellen McBeal with her. And Portia even said, I'm going to go after Ellen. I know you're not. I'm like, but you won't be the poster child, girl, because guess what? That poster child has already been taken. And by the way, it wasn't a great spot, but yours ain't going to be any easier. And I'm telling you now, like, red flag, red flag, red flag.
We're going to go to a dive bar and meet Camaro. Hey there, Camaro. How you doing?
I met a Camaro on the side of the road.
Okay, we're digressing.
I mean, let's get back to some serious shit. She was a bitch.
Oh, dear.
Holy shit balls. Okay, now listen. But it's always a good moment to take a pause. So we're going to take a pause right now, Heather. Ready?
I'm done with my pause.
She's talking. She can't even take a pause. No. Let's talk. Let's come back and listen. What a relief it is. But you know that commercial? What a relief it is. It's nice to get the truth
Plop,
off
plop,
my chest.
fizz, fizz.
What a relief it is. That
yes.
about private parts, and I shouldn't. Is that a commercial?
No, I don't know.
Why do I know these things? Anyway, can we talk about where we've been this last week?
1-800 cars for kids. Okay.
Depends. Get them if you have to pee.
Where's the beef?
Oh, where is the beef? Don't eat beef because I'm a milk hater.
You don't even know what that is, do you?
I don't know.
No, it was like
people who don't like chickens?
No,
What?
it was just a famous commercial where a little old lady went, "Where's the beef?"
Oh, no, I'm catching up to pop culture. I've started with Ellen and I've ended there, but now I'm going to end there and then we're going to start now, fresh, new. Who are you? You're
now that 1-800 cars for kids
Helen?
is in my song.
Are you
okay,
Helen?
Listen.
Is your name Helen? Wait, does
yeah.
anybody know that we did a show?
We did it
in Australia,
and they called me Helen Duffy.
And Helen Duffy, and we nearly peed our pants. And it's on such a different time zone. And Helen and I are trying to like cover our noses so that we don't. And she's off camera. It was just, I mean, we crack each other up more than other people do. But let's try to.
Is this our transition away from what we were just talking about?
Let's try to be funny
because we're done with that. We're done with that.
Or
unless we think of something else.
Wow.
But we're done with that. And let's talk about.
Yes.
Kind of how we opened the show, which is where I thought we were going, which was what the hell have we been up to?
Holy
Let's talk about Georgia.
Please, let her rip.
We have been traveling for I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 weeks, 3 weeks. That means you traveled 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I traveled a month before.
Yeah. So we've been traveling. So we've been like on the road and
to Georgia,
which is weird to go for. And I'm wondering how everybody else feels about the end-ish of COVID, like having to go like back out there. And it's exhausting. And it's I'm buttoning pants and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
And putting on clothes and strapping on shoes.
Everybody should be naked.
And so it's just
so what Heather is saying is that everybody put on some pants and let's put on some sandals and have a good time.
What we did, so we got on an airplane. I forgot how to do that.
I just heard was we'll be dicked, but I know that's not. But that's in our future, maybe.
Who knows?
I mean, who knows? I mean, it would be nice to have sex once this year.
I've forgotten what that sensation
me too.
is. Okay, anyways, listen, stop it. We're really digressing today.
I know.
But I promise we'll give you good stuff.
God.
We'll give
some good sex.
We'll give good
talk.
podcast today, I promise. Listen. So we are on it. We are flying. And by the way, a little tidbit about me is that I'm actually, I know that you've flown all over the country your whole life alone.
Not only the country, the entire the entire world.
I actually am not an alone flyer very much. I do not. I remember when I was flying somewhere and I was and I didn't know. I had to call my daughter, who was like telling me what to, like my 20-year-old daughter has flown alone more than I have.
Yeah, she's a supermodel.
So I am a little like I have a little bit of anxiety when I fly.
I know
when I fly in the actual air, but also the process of flying. I'm not sure what to do.
Do you fly other places than the air?
No, but I'm saying when I'm in the plane, I'm afraid I'm going to die and crash.
Right.
But when I'm in the airport, I like don't know how to I don't know how to work the thing. Like, what do I do? Do I go to? I remember when I went to visit you in Chicago. They flew me out there, right? So I didn't book my own ticket.
That's right.
How was I to know that they book you on American there and Delta back or something? So they dropped me off at, So they dropped me off at American because that's where I think it is. I'm late because of course we've stayed up late the night before.
Well, duh.
And I am late. And then I get there and they're like, she's like, oh no, you're at the terminal like 7 things away. And she looked at me like, and she could tell that like I was one of those.
You had that like I drank too much last night face.
No. I had that look of like terror in my face. Like, there must be the people in the airport that they know like, ooh, they're not good at this. And I had a situation where I needed to use the facilities in not a number one way. And so I had to decide, am I going to miss my flight or am I going to?
You have to decide if you're going to miss your flight or take a shit. That is a conundrum I have never heard before.
Well,
that's a new one for me.
She was kind.
New one.
She was kind, and she said, "Here's what I'm going to do, honey." And she talked to me like I was 7.
Did she have a portable toilet?
And she said, "No, I didn't. I didn't tell her about my situation."
She had a depends.
She said,
"It depends.
Here's what's going to happen. Your suitcase is going to go on this flight, and you're going to have to wait and get it in an hour after you land, and you're going to run over to the like." She really was talking to me like I was 7. And you're going to run over there. And so I was able to get on the plane. I was able to handle my business. And then I waited to get my suitcase an hour later. I don't know why I'm talking about this story.
I don't either. If anybody has ever heard a story about Georgia peaches, this is it. Heather and I just got back from Georgia.
We're editing this out.
By the way, if you edit that out, I'll kill you. Isn't that the whole part? Then we went to Savannah.
So I started with that and then I digress.
All right.
So
I know. That's why I'm getting reset.
We go to Savannah. I figure out how to get there, because I've gotten better at it. I've flown more on my own now since I'm a single lady. And
oh my God, you're all uppity about like, I'm a single lady. I can fly. I'm in the air. Oh, where's my Dramamine?
Okay, fine. I'm not a housewife anymore. So we go and we find, and I'm going to this small town in Georgia. So are you. And I have
that's why you're
misconceptions about small towns and who we're going to meet there. Like I figure I'm going to be greeted with like Trump flags on everybody's lawn.
Yes, because I would make that happen.
And so I did. I was prejudiced against small towns. So we get there and you've already sussed out the cool kids. And the people we met there were just so fantastic. Who all did we meet? We met the Thomasville Productions.
Too. I met my other Heather.
She met Heather
my
too.
Entrance, yes.
I was very specific that I was Heather one.
But Thomas, Bryce. Yeah. It just went Rhonda, but it just went on and on. I met Mel Gibson while I was there. Mel was shooting a movie while I was there. And I walked into a restaurant after I got off the set one night, and as people might imagine, I'm like, what should I do? Should I go home and have a shower shower before I go out.
By the way, this is a fantastic restaurant too. Another misconception I had. I'm picturing that you're in Liam's, like this little podunk diner.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful like, what do I know about small towns?
I mean, again, we're talking about perspective and point of view, which is really interesting. But here's also perspective and point of view, because I walk in and I hear this knocking, God's knocking on my head, like, don't go take the shower. I knew Mel was in town. And the story about Mel Gibson, I will have to tell another time. But I haven't seen him since then. You can't do that, actually. Yeah, I can. And
you can't.
Yes.
That's me.
And when I walked into Liam's, Rhonda met me and says, Anne Haitian. I'm like, but she's a woman who could throw your arms around you, and I know she knows who I am.
She's the owner of Liam's.
Yes.
Am I saying the right name?
Liam's, yes.
Yeah.
And she says,
Thomasville,
do
Georgia.
you have a reservation? I'm like, reservation? Like, Rhonda, but like, I just got off the set, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm not really dressed. And then it's the most gorgeous restaurant. And she says, well, no problem. You don't have to, but why don't I see you with your people? And I said, my people are back on set. Like, I literally I'm amazed I drove my car here, but I have no idea how I got here. But apparently I'm supposed to go to Liam, so I was told by God. And she goes, I'll see you with your people. She takes me in, and guess what? But she sits me, and there's a table, a 2-seater right next to the 4-seater that Mel was with his wife and the director of the other film that the producers are producing in Thomasville. And I was giggling so hard already. I'm like, listen, this is so funny that I'm going to go in and meet, right? I'm thinking before I get there, like, maybe I'm supposed to meet Mel Gibson. I don't know. Maybe they'll hire me to be, like, honestly, this is how deep I dug to try to get jobs. In my past, it has been very difficult. Canceled. And so I go, hey, now. I guess, I'm like, obviously not quiet. I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. You think he's my people. I'm like, sorry, Mel, excuse me. But Ron just sat me here because she was going to seat me by my people. So apparently you're my people.
That is so funny.
Now, he used to be my people. Now he's my people again.
Oh, and then you also saw one of our better togetherers in Liam's.
Well,
Nestor.
No, Nestor. That was the surprise the next night, because I had such a good time the first night.
If you listen to Nestor and Shannon Carbonell, Shannon wrote a book about
Oh yes, and you had that experience.
And so she walks in, and Nestor is sitting there.
And Nestor's sitting there. I'm like, the frick are you doing here? Like, what? And this gorgeous man stands up.
And we're in this small town in Georgia.
Unbelievable. And Nestor, by the way, we have to check in with Nestor, because Nestor got into an accident on the set and tore his Achilles, and and not only that, finished the movie, which I know all of these details because of course the producers are the same, and he refused to let himself not be in the stunts or work, of course, because he's one of us. He's my people.
Yes.
He's my people. So let's say goodbye.
Well, no, I'm not done with Georgia yet.
She's going to go.
I'm not done with Georgia yet because
Georgia.
So Anne and I had never been to Savannah.
Savannah.
All right. So so we go to Savannah.
I'm a one-woman band.
We drive to Savannah, and I get there, and nobody knows anything about me. So I'll just tell you, I studied African American studies in college, and I'm very. I don't know why, but I've always been very drawn to that history, and I feel it, and it's for whatever reason, even though it's not, it's personal to me in some way that I cannot explain. So when we get to Savannah, I just feel the pall of the history there. I just feel it. I feel it in my bones, in my core. And so we get there, and instead of looking at restaurants, I have to go to some place here that honors the history of this town. And so I found a monument that was dedicated to something that happened in Georgia in 1859, which was, they called it the Weeping Time. And it was the largest slave auction in history, where 436 slaves were sold over 2 days. And it rained the entire time. And when we were in Georgia, there was moments of rain and pouring rain, and then it would stop. But on these 2 days in that time, when they sold these people and separated these families, the rain just poured down. And Ann and I drove to it, and we're in the pretty city, and then you start to get out far, and you see these big monuments for soldiers and in the town square, and we're going out farther and farther and farther into the outskirts of town to where it's, I don't know how to describe it as the outskirts of town and very modest living, and this little bullshit park that didn't have anything but like grass and a bench and a monument on a pole that told the story of these 436 people. And if you think about it, we just sat there and cried, because you think about all of those families that had lived together. And I think it was some landowner who had lost gambling debts. So all of these families were separated from each other and sold to different plantations. It was just an incredibly powerful moment. And for me, I could not, while Savannah was a beautiful city, for whatever reason, I just felt it. I just felt that history, and I could not shake it. And I kind of needed to get out of there.
I know, me too. I mean, when we were going antiquing,
and I know there's places all over the country that have that history.
Well, but for that's me, even more so.
For whatever reason, that particular place in the world just really shook me.
Well, me too, and we sat with absolutely no understanding of the impact that it would have on me. I'm sure we're both described as empathetic. I don't think that's anything that people would say about us, like, oh, wow, they don't really feel for other people. But there was it's like a dawning, it's like a new cloak of understanding how we've treated others. And for us, this is the biggest and greatest shame. And one of the, as we were weeping on this bench, unable to even really speak or whatever, Heather uttered these words to me.
What'd I say?
I remember reading a story about how desperately the mothers wanted their children to be bought together.
Well, I mean, I read history.
That was the thing, that the kids, maybe at least a brother and sister would get to be together.
Well, you're watching to see where they're sold, because you want at least, or are they going with a friend or somebody anybody? It's excruciating and horrible,
yes,
and horrifying, and look, we say it was a really long time ago. When Harriet Tubman died, Ronald Reagan was alive. So that's not that long ago. I'm sure there's people who are like, who is Ronald Reagan? Who is Harriet Tubman? But it was not that long ago. And somebody fact check me on that. But
well, when Heather and I went into business together, it's more present than we think. And this is one of the things that we want to just shine a light on and try to flip by telling true stories, by sharing the reality, by exploring your life, by opening yourself to others' dimension, where they come from, who they are. We are bonded more and more, further and further together in an understanding of the conscious thought that another person's life is not who you think it is. It's theirs, and it is ours to uphold its dignity and its respect.
And I would also like to say the other thing that I noticed in that town was, in the local newspapers and wherever you went, you saw there was so much family business. The brothers, you just saw like last names of this generational wealth and businesses. And you cannot help but recognize that if so much of that town is controlled by that generational wealth, where is the voice of all of those families that were broken apart and sold off? You see how that translates into a different reality, and how it takes longer for something like that to be righted. And And it's just something to pay mind to, I think.
Dare I state this more clearly? Better Together is a motion to eradicate abuse wherever and whenever we can by adding loving kindness. Yes?
Yes. And just recognizing, look, I know this episode was a little bit, we went a little bit yin and yang, but that's our life. That's what we've experienced in the last, 2 weeks since we've been here doing this show. And that's just the reality. That's the reality of life. It's not always tidy and put in a box and a soundbite, but it's what we've experienced in the last couple of weeks. And we hope that there is something in there that you all can take and apply to your life. What could that be? What are we taking? What are we taking from this?
When you listen to Better Together, what do you take away, and do you feel better? I mean, and this isn't exactly the best feeling, but this is also what I say about the flip side. You have to look at one side to look at the other. The fun thing about understanding the truth and having that as your foundation is that the flip side is you can do and choose to do anything you want with that truth and your acknowledgement in it. And what we are doing here is hoping to, sometimes it gets heavy, sometimes it's lighter. Open your eyes, encourage that seeking and seeing so that we can look at our participation in it and add something to what is going on, not only for ourselves, but for our families and for our friends and for those around us, even if it's an accidental understanding of giving the gift of kindness. So until next time, live in loving kindness.
And don't be a dick.
And a big thanks to our Better Together team, Ryan Tillotson, Sebastian Alcala, Daniel Ferreira, and of course, Ann and Heather. If you haven't already, please subscribe on whatever device or platform you're listening to this on. And as always, see you next week.
We're better together with Ann and Heather.